Good morning. Happy Saturday. I know, I think that'll do. So triggers. Dealing with triggers in your relationship or just, in life, period, okay? I just want to talk about that for a moment. Triggers are evidence of emotional issues that we have not dealt with, okay? A trigger, whether it's an ideal, a word, all of these things can be triggers. And what happens when you're having a trigger is some negative event that took place in the past has been attached to a person, place, thing, phrase, or word that when presented to you in the present brings up negative emotions from the past. So that's what a trigger is, okay? So now that we know what a trigger is, let's look at some different types of triggers. Some different types of triggers would be like, I don't know, a woman being called a slut, or maybe having a conversation with a parent or with someone that you are in a relationship with, okay? A topic that brings you anxiety when you're talking about it, okay? These can be really strong triggers for you. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Good morning. Okay, so these are some triggers. What you have to understand about a trigger is that, again, it's just an emotional response that has not been dealt with, okay? So in order to deal with your triggers, first you have to identify what your triggers are. This takes an amount of observation of yourself. How you doing, Jonathan McCorker? You said you get finer every time I see you. Go ahead and teach women. You so silly. Okay, so first you have to identify what your triggers are. This takes an amount of observation of yourself. A lot of people don't like, it's actually a bit of meditation, because that's what you're doing when you meditate. You're just kind of, scanning your body and figuring out how you feel. The way that you can observe your triggers is through other people. That's pretty much the only way that I have found that these triggers can come up, is when dealing with other individuals, which is why this is the community of mirrors, because we are all reflections. We hold up mirrors to the people that we engage with. We are able to see ourselves through other people. That is why, if you were, wondering why this is the community of mirrors, that is the concept. We need other people in order to see ourselves in a particular way, or to be able to examine ourselves. Relationships are great opportunities to figure out who you are. A lot of things you wouldn't even know about yourself until put into a situation with someone else. Okay, so the best way to find out your trigger is by interacting with other people, and just kind of scanning the way that you feel when you're talking to someone, or listening to what they're saying and identifying particular words that they may be saying to you that make you feel some type of way, whether it is making you feel sad, upset, anxious, or anything like that, okay? So that's how you identify your triggers. A lot of people have trigger words like shut up. Somebody told me shut up. At this point, we wouldn't be talking anymore, but it wouldn't upset me. Someone that may be triggered by the word shut up may have an underlining ideal about that, okay? So triggers have an underlining meaning. Remember, we talked about it, there being an emotional issue, something going on that makes you triggered. So it has first thing is to figure out what your triggers are. And then the second thing is to figure out what it means to you when that trigger is presented. Why are you being triggered? Why does this upset you? Why does this make you anxious? Why does this make you sad? Let's take shut up, for example. Someone who's triggered by being told shut up, the underlining meaning to that could be that they don't feel heard, that they don't feel like what they have to say is important. They don't feel listened to. They feel small. Okay, told shut up. That would be one reason why they have this particular trigger. Okay, let's take another trigger, for example, saying I love you. Okay, some people in relationships, they can't say I love you to the next person because the last time they said I love you to someone, they were hurt. So in their minds, they have coupled the phrase I love you with a relationship ending up in pain. So they can't find it comfortable or soothing to say I love you, because every time they've said I love you, something happened that was negative. Okay, so number one, find out what your trigger is. Number two, understand why it triggers you. Okay, that's how you do it. Now, the last step, once you identify the trigger, once you find out why you're being triggered, like what it means to you, why you're being triggered, why does this have such an effect on you, the third thing you have to do is you have to combat whatever the message is for the trigger. You have to combat it and turn it around. Okay, so let's say someone is saying something to you and you feel like they're not listening to you, or maybe you feel like the underlining reason is what you have to say is not important. Okay, or you're not important. If you feel like whatever trigger that may be, if the underlining reason for that trigger is the message is you're not important, this is how you would combat that, that meaning. Understand that people reflect out what they have inside of them. If they're conveying that you're not important, 9 times out of 10, it's because they don't feel important. Okay? It's the same thing with criticism. If someone's always criticizing you and talking about you, that's because majority of their energy is spent criticizing themselves on the inside, having thoughts about themselves that are not very healthy or not very good. So all they know how to do is to criticize. So when they're speaking, people speak what they know. When they're speaking to you, all they're going to do is criticize you because all they do is criticize themselves. Okay? So combating this, you understand that whatever this person is conveying to you is what they feel about themselves. And understanding that, you can employ some type of empathy for them. Feel sorry that they even feel that way about themselves, and it has nothing to do with you. Okay? So that's the last step. You combat it like that. I'll take another example. Let's say, okay, you don't like to say I love you. That's a trigger for you, because every time someone says I love you or you say I love you, it ends in being hurt. The underlining meaning is I'm not worth being loved, because obviously, when I love someone, it ends terribly, okay? The way that you can combat that is understanding that every person that you get with is not the person you're supposed to be with. Understanding that you might have made some incorrect selections on the type of person that you get into a relationship with. Understand that the people that you were with in the past, you did not select them carefully. So yes, of course it's going to end because you weren't with people who were compatible with you. That does not mean that you're not worth loving. That just means that you need to learn how to pick better, okay? So that's how you would combat something like that. That last step, it might take a little bit of work, you know. You might need a little help, you know. You guys can reach out to me. You know, I take appointments all the time. Finding out your trigger, easy, because you have an emotional, you know, change on the inside. So you'll know when you hear your trigger that it's your trigger, you know, and understanding what that means to you. What are you hearing when you hear the trigger is relatively easy too. But learning to combat the trigger can be a little bit difficult, okay? So if you need me, my contact information is in the description box, okay? But I wanted to bring this message to you because a lot of people are having trigger issues in relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a relationship with a loved one, a friend, or, you know, or someone like that. Co-workers like to trigger people a lot because they don't have anything else better to do in their lives. You know what I mean? So I wanted to bring this message to you in hopes of helping you have a more fulfilling life, okay? It's nothing worse than going through life being anxious, upset, depressed because of, you know, mental turmoil that you are impressing upon yourself, okay? So I hope you think of me as your personal coach and consultant. I just wanted to bring this message to you. If you're not a member over at the website, it's free. So head on over there, www.centralinnovations.com, and sign up. And let me check the chats. I know y'all been talking a little bit. Jonathan says, no, I know I don't like dirty people way before I meet them. He's so silly. Well, that's good. All right, well, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.